Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to Our Community with Whitney Prather. Learn about what's happening in Stark and Tuscarawas counties and the surrounding areas. We're going to highlight interesting people, businesses, organizations, churches, events, and even more. Stay tuned. Today, we're speaking with Jim Gill, director of the Dover Public Library. We'll hear how he and his team are leading with ingenuity with their ABC Promise Partnership Program. Jim Gill is excited about all the ways the community can still interact with the library. Enjoy this talk as we discuss stewardship and learned more about him. Hey, Jim, how are you today?
Good. Nice to be here.
Good. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. I'm excited to speak to you specifically about the Dover Public Library. And I know that you guys are working on an endeavor called the ABC Promise Partnership. I want you to tell us about that and how the idea came.
Yes, thank you for asking. It's been a fun journey. This came about because of a patron, one of our regular users here at the library, who is very environmentally minded and has his eyes and heart looking out for opportunities to repurpose and recycle and to help the environment. And so he found a clipping, gentleman named Eric found a clipping in Parade magazine. You know that little glossy insert in the Sunday paper that everybody enjoys looking through? Well, they had a little story on a school in Indiana that was part of a partnership called the ABC Promise Partnership. And so what it is was a school worked with an organization called Green Tree Plastics, which facilitates this ABC Promise Partnership. The idea of it is for children in the community to gather and save all of their plastic bottle caps, lids, whatever you can think of that covers a plastic container, they can repurpose. And so the idea is if they can collect 200 pounds of that, now you know how light a water bottle cap is. It's like nothing. It's like air. So 200 pounds is about a pickup load, if you didn't know that. And the idea was to extrude those caps down into a recycled plastic bench. So the idea is to repurpose and to recycle. And it gets the whole community involved.
Nice. That sounds awesome. Who are your partners? I'm assuming that you are working with someone to help you accomplish this.
Well, our number one partner are our library patrons. We have a great community here in the Tuscarawas Valley, and especially in Dover, where we serve people throughout the county and outside of the county across Ohio. But the people here, our regular patrons, really have taken this project to heart. It's one of those things that I think not a lot of people realize that the plastic lid or cap is a different type of plastic than what the water bottle is or what the peanut butter jar is, that type of thing. So it's obviously sometimes it's a lot harder. It's harder to recycle and repurpose. So that's the whole point of this, is to give some purpose to those lids and caps. Those are our number one partners would be the public who come in here every day. But it's funny, you picked up on this story, and I'm so grateful that you did. But the county joint waste management organization heard we were doing it and wants to help partner this as well. So it's been a great community effort.
Awesome. So the goal is to create benches. Yeah. And so how many benches can you get with 200 pounds of plastic
200
lid?
pounds will do one bench, but we've had, which doesn't seem like much, but when you see how little a water bottle cap is, it's pretty remarkable when you think about it. So we've been overwhelmed with support that every day in our book drop, people come into the library and they bring a bag of clean caps and lids, and it's really a grassroots effort. That's what I love about it. And right now with the economy and the pandemic, it's just something positive that we can do step by step, cap by cap, to do something to help repurpose something for a greater good. Yeah.
And so, do you have a tally of where you're at right now? Or
we
will
have
that be calculated?
We do. We have a guesstimate right now, Whitney.
Okay.
We have probably around 250 pounds. And so we had a generous donor who made a donation, a monetary donation that helped cover the first bench. So we're working on bench 2 right now, which is a great thing.
Nice. I love it. So, okay. So all your patrons have really taken an interest in this, and they have donated, and one day they'll be able to see this bench somewhere. Do you have an idea for placement?
That's a great question. The one here at the library, we want to put it under we have some beautiful shady trees, a great oak tree up front of the library. We're thinking front and center. It's going to be rainbow colored. It's going to have, the slats will be red, blue, pink, those primary colors.
Nice.
So it'll be bright. It's going to have a nameplate on it that's recognizing our donors and our partners on this. And we're hoping this catches on. And with our influx of caps, with the sudden interest on this whole project, bench 2 and hopefully bench 3, we want to donate it to the community. For example, one idea we had was at Cleveland Clinic Union Hospital down here in Dover. Those healthcare workers are just working their tails off, putting their lives at risk during this pandemic. We thought that'd be a great location on the grounds of the hospital to put a second one. And then the third one, we're thinking about the park or maybe a school, just somewhere in the community.
Yeah, I love it. So good. So tell me, you mentioned briefly the pandemic. I'm interested to know how your team is doing. Is your library still open? And really, what has your team done to kind of engage the community during this time? Obviously, the ABC Promise Partnership is one of those things that you're doing, but I'm interested to know what else.
That's a great question. The library, at least the philosophy here in Dover, and one that I try to impart on our staff and the public, we want to be the front porch of the community. We want to be a place where we create community, bring people together, and not always, it's not the library of the 1950s or 1960s or what you and I grew up with. You know what I mean? It's a lively, happening place. That's what's so hard with the pandemic, is we had to put the kibosh on in-person programming. And that's a lot of what we do. Computer classes, author events, learn how to use Microsoft Excel, things like that. Children's story time. It's been very hard not to be able to do that. We've reinvented ourselves in many ways. Early on in the pandemic, when we all had the stay-at-home order, that was tough. And then once we were able to provide curbside service, all libraries in some way are doing curbside service right now. So if you're not comfortable coming in, you go online, reserve your materials, call us, we'll pull them for you. We have a designated parking spot right in our parking lot by the primary door at the back of our building, where we will bring the items out to you in a bag, and it's contactless, so it's a safe thing. Another way is through Zoom programming, like we're talking right now on Zoom, which is
right.
I think I know who's behind the pandemic. It's Zoom, because their stock has had the skyrocket here.
Why didn't I purchase any stock?
Well, anyways, Zoom does give us an outlet to connect with people. And it's not the same, but it's not bad. You and I are talking right now, and it's a pretty amazing feature. Sure. We do story times regularly on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Tonight, we're having a historic program on Dover, New Philly. We're going to talk about Dover and New Philadelphia then and now, and look at old vintage photographs and look at it now and back and forth. And so talk about the history of our towns here. So we are still engaging the public. It is definitely slower. It's slower everywhere. All my library director friends we're all in the same boat. Door count is down. People are a little wary. But the thing about the library is that I want to impress upon people, it is a safe place to go. My staff clean every hour, and we have a whole list of frequently touched surfaces that we're cleaning. We strictly enforce the mask thing. It's the right thing to do. It's the kind thing to do to each other. And so that we want people to know it's a safe place.
Yeah, I love that you said that. It's a kind thing to do. I wholeheartedly agree with that. You mentioned before your talk here that you really want to teach the upcoming generation about the importance of being good stewards. How are you personally, or how is the library approaching this goal?
Sure. Well, I'll take off my library hat. As a Christian and as an active participant in our church, our Lutheran church, the Bible is all about service and caring for other people and trying to pay it forward and being kind and all these hot button issues we saw with the campaign and the election. I don't remember Jesus ever talking about any of that stuff. He was talking about feeding people and being kind. And so that's what we've raised our family on. And then when I put my library hat back on, we try to do that here. You know, when I hire somebody here, Whitney, number one, I don't care how smart you are. I care about how kind you are. We'll make you a librarian, but I want to make sure that you are in it for the right reason, that you love this environment, that you love to help people, and that you're kind. And so I forget even what the question was, but yes, that's an important thing about what we do here.
Yeah, I think that is all about stewardship. If you start with kindness, I mean, there you go. Kindness is your brand, and I appreciate that. Tell me how, you know, your philosophy of the library is more than books. Obviously, you kind of are already hinting toward that, talking about kindness. And when you hire people, you want to see that trait. But this idea that the library is more than books, you mentioned that it was the front porch of the community, which I absolutely adore that saying, because, wow, that's where you can do community. But tell me, why is the library more than books?
Well, when I came to this library, it's pushing 11 years ago now. I came from a library that it was program heavy, meaning that they saw the importance of connecting people through programs. So healthy story times, author events, computer classes like we already discussed. And so our library was a traditional library here in Dover. So we had a great print collection. But I always tell my staff, we can't become Blockbuster Video. Remember Blockbuster Video? I don't see those anymore. We have to reinvent ourselves each and every day. And one thing that never goes out of style is people and caring for each other and bringing people together. So formats may change, VHS to DVDs to whatever's next to digital ebooks. We do all that. But we've got to reinvent ourselves each and every day. And so we need to be a blend of traditional services plus what's coming down the pike.
Yeah, because the people that you service are multi-generational. So there are people who definitely only do print. So I love that you're just taking that approach of making sure that you have a blended offering. How else are you guys, or, you know, what's your plan for 2021? Are you planning for that? Are you planning for 2021? Or are you just kind of taking it day by day?
Well, we identify each beginning towards the end of each year, going into the new year, what our goals are for the coming year. And right now, we're going to discuss that at an upcoming managers meeting, but it's going to be to continue to provide a safe environment for our staff and the public through the first quarter of the year. And we're hoping that with the vaccine coming and as things open up and as we get smarter as human beings to deal with this, that we're going to be able to inch back into our traditional services as summer comes. We would love to be able to have our summer reading program again. We do that for all adults, teen, and children, so all ages. So right now, it's keeping everybody safe. That's our immediate goal. But I look back on the things that we've had to postpone in 2020, community reading programs, our book festival, things like that. I would love to be able to get to that as a goal for summer and fall of 2021.
Yeah. Do you guys have a certain book that you're focusing on, like a quarter, a month, like community reads or anything like that?
Yeah, we do. We've been a part of our county's One Book, One Community project for about 11 years now. Nice. It's so funny. The 2019 book was a book called How to Break Up with Your Phone, which was like a book on tech addiction and things like that and how it's changing who we are. And it's funny, then the pandemic comes and here I am on my phone right now with you, Whitney, on Zoom. And so it was about balance, though, having balance with technology. And so it was very timely. In 2020, that's an example of one of the things that was a victim of coronavirus was that we were not able to do our community reads. But we do one book every year. We're looking forward to our 2021 version. And the book is by a local author named Trang Moreland. if you may have heard of her, she was born and raised in Vietnam and made her way to the United States. And it's her story. It's her life journey. And the book is called, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's Look Pretty and Say Hello or something like that. It's about just smile, because that transition from Vietnam to America was very difficult. And the idea of it is just smile, be pretty, and it'll help ease things in. Of course, there's more depth to that as well. But the point of the book is that we each have a history. We each have a personal story that make us who we are. And we're going to celebrate our individual stories. So that'll be in the fall of 2021 if things go well.
Nice. Yeah, you can definitely break the silence and the awkwardness with a nice warm smile, for sure. So that book sounds very interesting. I always like to ask guests about them. So I'm going to transition and ask you a little bit about you. You mentioned that you and your wife, Katie, live in Dover and you have some children. Tell me about who Jim Gill is.
Well, I'm just the kid who grew up in this library, actually. Grew up in the Dover Public Library. Yeah, I grew up in Beach City, Ohio, which is southwest Stark County, which is a stone's throw away from Tuscarawas County. And so we had no library in town, so my parents would bring us down. When we went to town, it would be to Dover. And this was the library I grew up going to. So I went right to the baseball books, the sports books, that type of thing. It's just funny how life happens, and I had the opportunity to be the director here. So long route, but I got here.
Yeah. So did you know, like going to high school and everything, that this is where you wanted to end up?
Well, I don't think there's any librarian who knew when they were 5 they wanted to be a librarian. I was always a book kid. My brother was always helping my dad with fixing engines and, getting dirty. Oh, I hated that stuff. And so I always had a book in my hand or a ball, basically. And so I remember in 8th grade, we did a career survey where they give you that little test and they find out what area you should need to go into as a career. And mine was books and learning. I remember all the kids were making fun of me, but it all worked out. And long story short, went to college, started out as a animal science major. I was going to be a veterinarian. Nice. And that was at Ohio State. And then I missed playing football, and I had the opportunity. I went back through my old football letters and from other colleges, and I transferred to Muskingum, which is a smaller school, and I was able to play college football. And at that point is where I got my job in the library, at the college library. And I had a supervisor who invested in me and mentored me and said, "Jim, you should go to library science school." And I didn't know there was such a thing, but there is a master's program for library and information science. And so I did that. And that was at the University of Southern Mississippi. And then at Kent State, I kind of combined the two programs. And then here I am.
Nice. So you and your family live in the community. How have you guys been chugging along? Like, I'm always interested to know what people are doing, how they're entertaining themselves. Is there a lot of book reading in your household? You said that you have boys, Noah, Luke, and Andy. And this surprises me, actually. They're high school and up, which is crazy because you look so young.
Oh, I like to hear that.
Yeah, I thought for sure that you would be mentioning young kids, but you have kids that are in high school and college. So are they all at home right now?
Yeah, when I was a kid, we got married and started have kids. I didn't want to be one of those old little league dads, you know what I mean? Sometimes stuff happens. I get it, but we had them pretty young. So that's the answer to your question. But yeah, they all are home right now. Noah is on break between his first and second semester as a sophomore at Bethany College. That's in Bethany, West Virginia. And Luke and Andy are in a senior and freshman respectively. So they're in school right now. So we do have all the boys at home right now. Yes.
Good. Are they doing your high schoolers any virtual learning happening?
Well, it's interesting. Bethany, they did most of it in person. It's a small college. very, very spread out, not a lot to do. So I think they handled the pandemic pretty well this first semester. So Noah was in person the whole time. Andy and Luke have been in person the whole time as well. And I think the issue is what affected them more greatly was Andy's on the freshman basketball team, and they had a kid who was positive, so he had to quarantine for 14 days. Other than that, that was the only time where they had to do the virtual learning this fall.
Yeah. Well, very cool. I really enjoyed learning about you and your family. I've got one more question that I really like to ask all of my guests because I just like it. So anyway, I want to know from you, Mr. Jim, what are you excited about right now?
What am I excited about right now? Well,
anything.
I'll tell you what, Yesterday after church, my wife and our 3 boys went out to McFadden's tree farm, and we cut down a Norway spruce, and we put that tree up yesterday. And I think, like, circling back to that whole plastic cap thing, it was just something positive in light of everything going on. I think it's a good time to celebrate the season that it is, and to be together as a family. So short term, that's what I'm excited about. Long term, I'm excited about my 2 younger sons starting baseball practice and the coming of the baseball season in February, actually, for high school baseball. So I'm hoping my young son can make varsity. He's a good ball player. I'd like to have both boys on the same team. So that's what personally I'm excited about beyond the Christmas season.
Nice. Well, Jim, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate getting to know you, learning about the ABC Promise Partnership Program. I'll be looking forward to seeing information online about that. Really quickly, where can we find you online?
That's a great question. I'm kind of weird. I'm not on social media, but you can find me on doverlibrary.org. That's our library website. That's who I am when I'm not at home. So www.doverlibrary.org. That gives information about the ABC Promise Partnership, how you can give your caps, save your plastic items, as well as we are looking for financial sponsors. There is a cost to make these benches. There is extrusion time and the time for shipping and things like that. So it's about $600 per bench. So if you're feeling on your heart to contribute to that, just get a hold of me and we can tell you how to do that. Other than that, you can find me on 525 North Walnut Street. We're right across from the new Dover High School. If you've not seen that new Dover High School, it is phenomenal. So they just opened the last month or so.
Wonderful. We'll have to check it out. Thank you again, Jim.
Have a good day.
Thank you to our guest today, and thank you for tuning in. Cheers. Until next time.